Welcome to IMD's Industry Insights. We'll be right back.
Before we get started, I wanted to remind you to hit that like button. While you're at it, if you want to subscribe to our podcast, hit that button in the bottom right corner there, and that will get you subscribed. We do appreciate you being here. Let's get started.
I joined Siemens about 6 years ago as the aerospace and defense industry lead. I had been part of the aerospace and defense industry for 30 years, leading different programs, working in engineering and manufacturing and testing. So I've kind of seen a little bit of everything on the aerospace and defense industry side. I joined Siemens, leading their industry strategy team for aerospace and defense. I now have all of the industry strategy teams. So I have the opportunity to work with all of the big industries: aerospace, automotive, battery, consumer products, food and beverage, pharmaceuticals, electronics. So it's been an interesting role where I have an opportunity to see how we can bring digital solutions, digital transformation to customers across all the different industries of all different sizes, from small companies to startups to large enterprises like Northrop Grumman, who we saw on the main stage earlier today. So it's been a lot of fun to really be able to see such a cross section of people and companies that I get to work with. And so um, my team, what we're responsible for from an industry strategy standpoint is we look at what's going on in the market and where do we see areas that we might want to invest in our solutions for our customers? How do we need to assist with messaging? What are topics of importance for our customers that we can bring into the company to help with communicating with externally to all of our customers. And then we also work with a lot of our account teams and sales teams, working with some of their big customers and customers of all sizes. So it's been a lot of fun, but really be able to bring that customer viewpoint into the company.
Oh yeah. Um, our core audience being small to mid-sized
Hmm.
manufacturers, um, a lot of them do not have like the dedicated IT
Hmm.
person to. So if they're looking at Siemens products, how would they handle that without that dedicated IT person?
Well, that's a great question, and I think part of what we're seeing now, and especially with SaaS, that is becoming so attractive for a lot of our customers, is that as you say, a lot of these companies don't have their own IT department. I used to work with a lot of suppliers for my programs, and sometimes their IT department was a family member, and so they didn't really have the resources to do big, large scale deployments. But with SaaS solutions now, um, we're able to manage a lot of those solutions for them. So if a customer does bring in like Team Center X to help them manage all of their data across their entire life cycle, depending on what they're trying to do, or if they're bringing in, NXX or, the design software, now we're managing that. And so the intent is it's more easy to be deployed. We can help we can help deploy that, but then we manage it on the back end. So it really helps take care of the need for having a large IT department. So if you're a small company, I think the SaaS solutions are becoming very attractive for them, just because of how they can be deployed, how the services are then managed, but then also then as the software gets updated, then they have access to the latest in software. It really follows that same model that you see with SaaS products across now, like Microsoft Office products. So, they're just always updating in the background, and you don't know that you had a new software loaded up over the weekend. It just happens, and I'm always just think about how different it has changed with these models now, that with SaaS models now, it really gives you better access to more up-to-date software all the time.
Well, I guess you sort of answered my next question because with the limited IT in most of these companies, um, I guess they'll be able to sort of build up incrementally so they doesn't hit them all at once.
Right. No, that's a yes, really good point. And I think that is, you can adopt what you need to adopt. It's, the accelerator portfolio itself is scalable to any company of any size. but also to what problems you're trying to solve. And so I think, for a company to, as they want to adopt it and they want to start becoming more digital, and maybe it's a requirement that they're getting from a customer themselves, or maybe it's just something that they decide that they need to do to become more operationally efficient, that you can adopt what you need to adopt, and you can grow. The solutions are now geared towards growing with your needs. And so maybe, they might start off with CAD, and then maybe they bowl into some simulation, or to support tooling design, or then they bring Teamcenter in. So the solutions are really being architected to help those companies go through that process. So you can start here, and then over time, as you want to expand your digital transformation, or as your company grows, that you can now start to adopt different elements of that portfolio. And I really think it does set the stage for companies to be able to do that.
I guess as sort of a post to that question, a lot of these companies are going to be, if they want to go with Siemens products,
Mm-hmm.
they've probably been using probably very rudimentary type solutions like Excel spreadsheets.
Right.
Not poo-pooing Microsoft, but nothing
Right.
industry specific.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
or it may just be written. So how is that data migration handled?
We do have mechanisms or connectors to do that data migration. Say, from if a lot of your data has been stored in Excel, if you're doing your configuration management, your change management in Excel, you can now transition that into Teamcenter and other solutions. And I agree with you. There's a lot of people that are using, say, Excel spreadsheets and Microsoft Office tools, and still a lot of handwritten records. I mean, that is the reality for a lot of our customers, especially in some of the smaller companies, but quite frankly, even in the bigger companies. And so we see that across the board. And so we've tried to make that transition as easy as possible, with some of the connectors, to be able to pull that data in. Uh, and and then I think the benefit, because in the benefit for the customer is, like, why would you do that? Why would you transition to these other tools? Well, you may have a requirement from another customer that says, we want you to be managing your data in a certain way and transmitting it to us that way. So got it covered. But the other thing is that, when you start to think about, release management, change management, that while you can use some of those other products, like the Office products for that, they're not purpose built for it. And so you are maybe having to create your own workflows. And so by being able to adopt a solution that, like Teamcenter X, that enables you to now manage those workflows, we've already put those workflows in that. It has the best practices in there. So you're not having to create that yourself and manage it and maintain it yourself. And so there is a benefit that sometimes I think a lot of people maybe don't see right away, when they make that transition from their current systems to more structured, PLM system. And so I think it does offer a lot of, uh, capabilities and a lot of benefit and business value for these customers that do that. Um, the going from paper into the digital, that's a little harder. There are some companies that we partner with that actually have technology that's doing that and starts to digitize that data and then contextualize it. Um, and we're starting to see more and more demand for that as well, just because it's like we have you know 20 years worth of paper data that we still need to access and we still want to use. We want to use it, for whatever, uh, you know, to support current or future business. And so if we can give them a path in there to digitize it, uh, then that's beneficial. But a lot of times that's some of the partners that we work with in those solutions. So.
For a small to mid-sized company, uh, margins are usually pretty tight,
Mm-hmm.
um, and uh, a capital layout for a new operating system, may not be what they're uh, what they're focused on,
Right.
maybe.
Right.
Um, what kind of sort of broadly speaking, what kind of ROI and how long would that take for them to really experience the benefit of moving to Siemens product?
Well, I think that in the past, if you were looking primarily at on-premise solutions, that would require a large capital outlay. And so, I don't know what companies would see as the benefit long term. Uh, I'm sorry, how long it would take for them to get that ROI. I think, it depends on each company. So, and I agree with you. It's, that's been my experience as well, is they're trying, these companies are trying to manage their costs very closely and manage their cash flow. And so, the ROI sometimes might take a year or two, sometimes longer, depending on how extensively they deploy those first things, which is why a lot of companies then look at, like, can we just do this piece first and then build some experience as well as get some ROI on the first investments. Now, I think with the transition to SaaS, this is what's nice about it, is it's also now it's not a large capital outlay, it's more of an operating expense that you can manage those costs each month, and have a very uh, kind of a predictable expense flow, because you're not having, like, okay, we're having a challenge. I got to call in some additional IT support this week, so I had a big cost spike because I was trying to solve this problem. Because that's being managed in the SaaS model, your costs become a lot more predictable, and I think that is another thing that's been attractive for a lot of customers of different sizes. Yeah.
Well, in interacting with our subscribers and watchers, the and it has been for quite a few years, their biggest problem is workforce.
Mhm.
Um, how will the Siemens products help in that area?
Absolutely. It's a great question. And that's a problem for companies of all sizes. I used to think about my own experience. We had an engineering department of about 16, 1700 people. And any given year, we had to hire about 300 engineers to support some of the new programs that we wanted to work on. And we also had people that were retiring or leaving on their own. And so maybe we had to hire 450 people just to make up for it. And we could never hire 450 people. It was just they weren't there. Yeah. And so for companies of all sizes, so even for smaller companies, it's maybe even a bigger problem because of their area. So where I see the digital tools really helping is it's helping to close that gap. It's not replacing workers; it's closing a gap for people that you can't hire. And so a lot of the solutions where we're trying to incorporate more AI, um, where we're incorporating it into more of our solutions now, a big, you know, actually, there's probably two benefits. One is because we've built in a lot of best practice workflows into our solutions, you get some benefit, some productivity benefit there. Your team members are not managing data; they're working on solving their problems. So through workflows and automating those workflows, we're helping companies just manage that data administration. But then now with AI on top of that, making the tools more conversational. I'm excited. I'm thinking, like, well, can I get to a point where I just start talking to the computer and it starts, like Star Trek, and now it's, just starts doing things. Um, I think that that's another area where having, uh, it's not going to, I don't see it replacing people, but I think that, as we start to think about like agentic AI, that it's some of those tasks that you used to would hand off to somebody else, you now hand off to AI and they take care of that piece of it. And again, it's allowing that engineer, that technician to really focus on the challenging things that they need to spend their time on, while automating these other tasks that maybe are a little bit more mundane. And that, to me, that's the beauty of some of these tools that are coming out.
I think that's the biggest misunderstanding about AI.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying it's going to replace everybody. No, it's going to augment.
I I think so. I mean, I don't think there's an easy button that you're just going to press the button and a part's going to pop out at the other end of your factory. It's just not. I don't see that happening yet. Maybe someday, but I think that as companies really start to understand how to apply it, I think that's the piece. It's going to really augment your existing workforce. It's going to close that gap. If you can't hire those people, are you able to do that through task automation that helps support the people that you have, helps empower them to do their work? That to me is the promise of AI. Um, it's that I think over time there's a lot of different viewpoints on AI, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about AI. And I think sometimes with people see generative AI and Chat GPT came onto the scene and really raised the awareness of AI, but for a lot of people, but AI has been around for a long time, and it actually has many different forms. And some of the forms are just embedded in the solutions that you use all the time, like your phone when you're typing and it starts auto correcting your text messages. And over time, it learns how you type. And so you would get a different answer if you type the same thing and if I type the same thing on my phone. So that's AI. And we all love that.
Oh yeah.
Except for when it autocorrects wrong, and then it's fun. But so that's the point. I think that's that augmentation that's going to happen that I think people are really going to benefit from, and I think it's happening. They just don't realize it.
Well, I mean, just from last year in Vegas to this year in Detroit, there's uh, a lot of improvements and
Yeah, yeah.
advancements, and I think the whole space is pretty exciting.
I do too. And I made a bold prediction to somebody a while back that probably in a couple of years we really won't talk about AI that much anymore because it will just become embedded in the tools and the solutions that we use. And we'll see what happens. But I think that's a natural progression that the real value is when it just gets embedded in your tools and it's working there and it's supporting you, it's helping you become more effective as an employee, as a worker, doing recipes at home. I don't know, whatever.
One last thing, um, if any of our listeners are already on the Siemens products, um, explain what the advantage of coming to a Realize Live would be for them and how that would help improve their use and understanding of the product.
Yeah, well, I think the greatest advantage of coming to an event like Realize Live is the fact that you can talk to other users, and so you're using our solutions, but you're using them in the way that you've been using them for a long time, and you may not have access to the latest tools. You may not have seen some of the new stuff that's coming out. It's like the gentleman from Northrop Grumman today talked about how he'd been at Realize Live like 10 years ago, and he was struggling with a feature set, and then Joe Bowman announced it on stage, at that Realize Live event, and he's like, "Hey, okay, well, this solves my problem." So he became aware. He became aware of a problem, or I'm sorry, a solution to the problem. But I think the greatest thing that I get to see is how all of our customers are talking to each other, and they start talking about how they're solving problems, and it's amazing the conversations that they're having. So it's a great opportunity to network and really get some insights into how somebody from a non-competing industry can help you solve your own problems. So a lot of times we're in an industry and we're like, well, we can't talk to those guys because we're going to share IP with them accidentally. But if you're talking to an automotive customer or an automotive company or supplier that has solved the same problems as you are, and you're an aerospace guy, okay, well, there's nothing competing, so they're happy to share. And so I just that community and the knowledge sharing is just, I think, it's fantastic that we have here. So it's a great experience. I would encourage anybody that has ever thought about they should come here and the opportunity to learn about all the different solutions and maybe explore some areas where you're not aware of. I just It's a great opportunity.
Food's pretty good
And
too.
the food's pretty good too. And the reception last night being out on the
Oh yeah.
out there on the green, and the beautiful weather, and the food was good, and the race car was there.
Do a little axe throwing.
And do some axe throwing, people playing beer pong. I mean, it was just a great time, and we have a concert tomorrow night,
Oh, yeah.
so it's going to be a fun experience.
Well, Dale, I appreciate your time,
You bet. Thank you.
and hopefully we can talk again next year and
All right.
see what's happened in the next year.
Absolutely, I would.